Everyone, to our second live event of the day. This is discussing our partnership with GE Café and with SketchUp. So today we're going to walk through some designs with SketchUp. The cool thing about today's event is that we're going to talk about finish, color, and texture. The appliances that you see behind me come in a variety of colors. So we've got a matte white, a matte black. We also have a traditional stainless, and we have another look here that's called modern glass. And so between all of these different colors, you can customize the color. You can also customize the handles. And so if you want to have a dark or a brush matte handle, if you want to have copper, true stainless, etc., these are appliances that are really built for today's consumer, because we want appliances to have a personality, their personality. And so it allows them to have a lot of flexibility. It also allows you to come in with custom hardware on the cabinets, on the accents within the kitchen. So what you're going to see today is how you can play within these design elements. We're super pumped about this session. I think it's going to be one of our best ones of the week. I'm going to turn it over to Josh Riley and Steve Guzman. They are our gurus over at SketchUp, and they're going to show you just how easy this is to do.
Awesome.
Ahead,
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for the intro. It's great to be back. Josh, welcome. Before we get started, I want to let all of our attendees know about three things that are kind of important. Over to the right, you'll see Q&A. If you have a question specifically about the appliances or about SketchUp for any of our presenters here, just leave it there in the Q&A section. There's also a section called moderator chat. It's called event chat. And so if you just want to give some feedback, you can leave that in the event chat. The last piece is toward the bottom of the presentations. You can see there's a little sort of a zoom slider, and you can slide in and out if you want to focus more on the presentation or more on our beautiful guests, our hosts here. So with that, Josh, tell us what we're going to be seeing today.
Yeah, so hopefully you can see my screen here. So the title of this session, of course, is Applying Colors and Materials to Your Kitchen Design. First, want to mention that my name is Josh Riley from the SketchUp team, and I'm hanging out here in the GE booth, just talking about the great appliances that GE has created in 3D digital form on our 3D warehouse. So this session is going to go real fast, try to pack in some tips. I'll go slower. I think maybe some new people joining might want to know more broad information. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and start this one up. So Let's begin with a 3D warehouse. I'm going to open this up here within SketchUp, and for those that are joining that are new to the 3D warehouse, just want to show that here's the home page, and if I kind of scoot this down, you can see that there is a lot of stuff in my model that I probably didn't draw. You know, I didn't spend an hour drawing a cactus or the nice succulents over here. I dropped those in as in a 3D form from the 3D warehouse. So a lot of stuff you can grab, and it's all free. And that's how GE is providing their appliances that you see in this kitchen as well, is they're free. And what's really cool is they're highly configurable. They match the real world product. So if you're designing, you throw these into your model while you're talking to your client, you know, you've got the real thing in there, and you can really combine that with the design that you're trying to produce. So let me jump over to this page here. I want to show this. This is the 3D warehouse in my Chrome browser. So you can go here through the browser as well. And I'll just cruise over some pages here and show you the Café kind of homepage. I'll have Goose talk about that, Goose and Mike, later on. But these are the appliances I'm going to apply to my model. And for sake of speed in the demo, I just wanted to show these here because I'm going to go and drop them in my model a little bit faster method here just for the demo. So I'm going to close this and show you my components browser here. And let's add the dishwasher first. So I'm going to kind of zoom in here. There's that rough opening for the dishwasher. And I'm going to pop that in here. And what's really cool about these models is they not only have, you know, materials that look right and match the real product, but you can configure different options here. So we can go to something like a matte white, maybe a different color for the handle here. Let's try a brushed black. I can hit this apply button and it'll update right away. So obviously, if you've used SketchUp before, that would take a little bit of time to adjust real time in SketchUp. So these options are really nice to have.
Yeah, this is great, Josh. You know, the thing I like about this is, you know, from a design standpoint, you know, I think, you know, look at the change there. So we went from that stainless to the white, and the thing that pops out of my mind right away is that the countertop is just a value darker, and it's got a little bit more of a blue tint to it. And so that's something that you wouldn't want somebody to find out in the final design stages. Once you put the appliances and they say, I don't like the contrast between the white and the countertop. So those are the sort of things I always say with SketchUp. It's nice is there's no surprise in your design. And so the customer satisfaction and plus just the ability to come in here and change that so quickly. You were on the clock there. I took, in about 20 seconds, you would change the color and you'd put it into the space. So the live collaboration is cool. That's the benefit and the beauty right now in the pandemic world is just that ability to come through and go really fast and make those changes. I love it.
Yeah, SketchUp is all about speed. So you're designing with the client. You're not going to tell them, hey, I'll email you tonight this view of this thing or this appliance here. We made a change. No, you just do it right in front of them. So a little bit of practice, you can do it fast. So let me show you how I might do that with the range here. So I'm going to close this. Let's bring in the range right here. And if you saw me do it with the dishwasher, as far as placing it, I just drew a line that represented that rough opening so that I can then just grab the midpoint of the 3D object. I'm going to hit a key there to get that midpoint to show up on the bounding box. I'll line it with my red SketchUp inference direction, and then now one more move will hit it right back to the wall there.
Nice.
And again, I've got some options I can choose here. Dynamic components, component options. So again, these are smart components. Make some changes there. And if the Mike or Goose wants to talk, I'll do the fridge.
Yeah. Well, and one thing I noticed about these dynamic components, and one thing I really appreciate about them is that as an architect or a designer who's incorporating these things, because they're dynamic components, I can look at those dynamic component settings and see, who the manufacturer is, what the model number is, right? So that when I drag these things in, when I'm speccing them and when I'm showing them to my customer, I know that I'm getting something I can actually spec, I can actually purchase. See, there's the model number for that guy there. And so these aren't imaginary appliances. These are the real deal.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that we've all seen in the design world before. Somebody brings you a model number, they bring you a picture, and you're like, all right, figure out what this is. And so it takes the guesswork out of it because you don't want to be at the point where you put the appliances like, that's not the one I was talking about. So that ability there and that functionality is super cool. And then, plus, these are built off of our CAD drawings. So they're true and they work and we vetted them out. Plus you get some marketing copy in there as well. So I always like to say, as a designer, I'm not a salesperson for appliances. To have all that stuff there and let them pick and choose which model they want is great. And I love just watching you kind of put those appliances in there, Josh, because I'm sitting here looking at the real thing to my right and then see you doing the exact same thing with the exact same model. I will point out just real quick, a lot of these models that sit flush here, and we've talked about in our monogram series, the ability to change the doors out. We talked about panels here. Of course, your ability to change out and play around with different styles is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, one thing, Josh, I noticed, so you've placed in there a wine center. Let's go back and look at that beverage fridge. Maybe get the colors right. And next to it, I know in the original model we had an ice maker. But yeah. What if we wanted to make that like that double drawer fridge? Because I'm trying to convince my kids to grab more fruits and veggies on their way out. So, is there something that show us how long it might take to do a design change request like that?
Yes, this may seem like a lot of work, but let me show you how I would approach it. So let's say we had this originally spec'd in there, and we're gonna get rid of this one and throw something else in there. But of course, the size is different, so we need to do a quick SketchUp adjustment. So the way I would do this is I would just pop this out, maybe a known distance. I think I'll go 4 feet, just so I know how far that's out. And then I'm gonna go into the wall group here, and this kind of stuff is pretty easy to do on the fly in SketchUp. So I go to X-ray mode here. I've got a shortcut for that, and I can. Let me actually do a quick adjustment here. Rough opening's got to change. I'm going to use my tape measure tool here. And I know that the rough end for this is 24 inches. So I'm going to go and match it to that real quick. Then, of course, we're now a bit off center. So here's where that X-ray comes in. And if I orbit carefully, I can grab all the stuff I need and move that around. I'm showing X-ray mode here because if you accidentally click an extra line, you're going to move, more than you intend to. We don't want to do that.
Right.
So it's really nice to make sure you're just grabbing what you want. I'm actually going to add, let's go for it. Let's just start moving it now. I'm going to grab the midpoint here and the left arrow key, and I can just snap to the midpoint of maybe the shelves there. So now,
perfect.
Let's turn X-ray off, and it looks pretty centered. And I can just start to put these things back into place.
Nice.
Yeah. And if you've used design software before, you know how long that takes to do and to get everything centered. And so, to Steve's, point, the ice maker was in there. You want to get the kids to eat more fruits and vegetables. And at my house, it's my wife convincing me to eat more fruits and vegetables. So I'm still very much like a child. But this is the ability here to change things up. And that's what SketchUp does. It creates possibilities for customers and to see, hey, I've got a wild idea. Does it actually work? Because we've all worked with customers that have wild ideas, and you go, went to design school over here. Let me tell you how it is. The ability to punch those things in is great, and it's going to show them, okay, that doesn't look like what I expected, or now I'm kind of expecting the unexpected because I put something in here I would have never imagined. That's what makes a great designer-client relationship.
For sure.
Yeah.
And real quick, Josh, I was going to add something to that. And the fact that we're here watching Josh do this live, right, in the current environment, right, like these sort of live model changes can be shared over, a streaming communication service, just like we're doing here, changes made on the fly. And then on top of that, if Josh wanted to, he could share this entire model for the user to view in like virtual reality or augmented reality, which is a bit nerdy, but it's like my speed. So I like that I could walk through it, so that's kind of cool.
All right, so the title of the session is about applying materials and colors. So let's do a little bit of that too. I want to make sure that we stay true to the title here.
Awesome. Thanks for keeping us on track, Josh.
Yeah, I'm going to jump into this.
Josh, that's what Steve and I do. So go ahead.
So I'm going to go just deep down into the component level here. You can see when I select all this, the other components highlight. I can just grab this awesome copper, pop it on the new little handle there, and they all adjust because they're all linked components.
Nice.
And let's do an extension here. I love this extension. This one is called Material Replacer. So if extensions are new to you, go ahead and go to the SketchUp booth later on. We'll tell you all about them. But check this one out. I can go to my Tools, Material Replacer, and I can click this cabinet color that I don't want, and I'm going to grab this sample color here of the wood, and it replaces that everywhere in the model. So if you've used SketchUp before and you haven't seen this tool, that might have taken some time to do that fast. So really quick option swaps on the fly.
Yeah. Well, and real quick, Mike, I was just going to say, what I like here, right, is that I have a tactile feel. Like on that table, you had some samples of maybe, oak or birch or whatever sort of woods possibilities could be used for these cabinets. And the fact that they're laying there, and I could say, well, let's try the other one. Let's try the walnut, and you could place it on there, in just 2 clicks. That's kind of cool. And it makes me feel like I'm there with you, sort of going through these options.
Yeah, and I like doing that. Oh, go ahead.
That's one of the things we've done at the show. And so we've built all these physical kitchens for the KBiz iViz show. We're here in one of them now on set, and we have Pinterest boards. And so if you go to the site or if you check out our kitchens, you're going to see everything from the accents to the table and chairs here. You actually be able to see on a Pinterest board, and so you can take elements out of this and play with it. So I think that's the thing, because I know so many people design around that one element. Like they'll come to you and be like, I love this chair. Like these are wild looking chairs. I've sat in them. They're crazy comfortable. They've got a really unique look to them. I almost feel like this has kind of a, we call this the desert daydream. It has kind of a kind of dystopian Star Wars feel almost. And so when you have those elements and people want to incorporate them, the ability to come in and then, like to your point, Josh, match the textures, match the finishes. That's what makes a good design, is when it all kind of ties together with one nice big bow. So love it.
Yeah,
nice.
And let me jump in here and show you, for those that are watching that might be new to SketchUp, a really basic thing we do in SketchUp all the time. I want to show this real quick. If I jump into this texture that I just added, you can just right click on it and you can access scaling and rotating of it. So of course, wood grains, come in very different varieties. I can go in here and I could change it to a, larger scale, smaller scale. I can move it around, right click done. That particular one has been edited. The other one stayed the same. So you can easily change the scale and look of a texture like that. And then a tip here I know Goose is going to be excited about is, I love showing this because almost everyone kind of misses this in SketchUp. You can go to let me actually make a copy of this little paint chip here. And I'm going to jump in here and apply a color from the 3D warehouse, but I don't have to download any models. So you could search any model. I'm going to just type in wood texture, see what happens. But I could extract a texture from any model that I want to. This has got a bunch here. Let's check it out. If I go to the details page, so again, I'm in the 3D warehouse within SketchUp, hit this materials little flyout bar here, and you can extract these without downloading the texture. So if I just hit download, and in true SketchUp fashion, nothing obvious happens, but it's actually in the paint. So if you drop it in there it is. That one's a different scale. So like I showed before, I could just go here and adjust the scale. So Goose, what do you think about that?
Oh yeah. That's good fun. And then now that you have that sample, like a actual building product manufacturer wood sample, you could take that, throw it on the floor or on the cabinets or whatever.
Yeah.
Very, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, and that's what always gets me is the sample chips. I mean, you give them to somebody, especially a countertop that's going to have different veining, or a piece of wood that might have, really a big breadth of tones and textures within it. That sample never really does it for you until you see it on the wall. And I don't know how many square feet our house has shrank since we moved in with all the different coats of paint that we put on, just to make sure that we got it exactly right, because you loved it on the sample, but until you actually see it in there, that's, again, the beauty of this, and especially not being able to go into a client's home with your big color wheel and lay it out and then, walk outside and see how it looks in natural light, bring it inside. That's, you can't replace it. It's great.
Yeah, what Mike is talking about kind of reminds me of a tip I was going to show later on, but if I call it a color shift in SketchUp, and that is basically dealing with the texture you've applied and changing the base color. So if you look at the floor here, I've got some texture on the floor, and maybe the texture's right, but the color is not. So what I'm going to do here is just sample it so I can find it in my materials browser. And once I find it, I'm going to double click on it. You could also right click and go to edit mode. And then once in here, I can go to the little kind of color wheel, and it's pretty fun. I can change the opacity if I wanted to, or I could go up to that color wheel and very gently move it around or do something crazy. The point is, it'll change in the model, but keep the texture the same, but the base color is very modifiable or configurable. If I go back more to that reddish orange kind of color over here, and then of course I can change how dark or light that is. So here we go. We got the dark and light slider there. If you totally mess that up, you can just close it and just do a quick undo. It goes back to where it was.
I think Mike was liking the AstroTurf look in there. What do you think?
It's just a couple of days after the Super Bowl, so it was hitting home. But think about how hard it is to match things up. I'd rather change the colors here and know that exact color value, that RGB, and take that in to make my my paint color than the eyeball and the swatches. Even this section is about texture. And so you can even take something that has that that gloss texture and lay it on something that has that matte. And although they can be the same color, the way that light reflects, I think that's one of the great things about SketchUp too, is the lighting within the kitchen. You can change those things. So I'm here on set, but if you had a big bay window in front of me, how would that change the entire look? And I think that's what's really cool.
Yes, and actually, Mike brings up a good point where this is a really important topic for this session, is the shadow settings. So let me just show you what I'm talking about here, because this is probably the most important tip if you're new to SketchUp and watching us today. If I turn on my shadows here, of course, you could have shadows in the model if you wanted to, but for interior stuff, you probably don't want shadows turned on. So if you turn shadows off, but you have use sun for shading checked on, you can actually adjust the kind of perceived shading of the model. So I can just move these around. And this is really important because, I've spec'd an exact paint color here on the wall, but as a client might be watching, they might be distracted by this not looking right. So even though you've spec'd the right color, remember, just like being in a real room in real life, the light's going to look different based on where the sun is, the light coming in. So the tip here is just open up this shadow settings box and really make sure that this is where you want it. You can even exaggerate it for the sake of appeasing a client that's talking about colors and maybe doesn't like what you've got there, because it's very changeable.
Yeah, and I think that's the great thing too. You see these archways, and so as we lay shelves over them, you're going to see a darker color here. And I think in the big archways is where it really shows off to where you've got the same color on the wall here, but you've got the same color on the backdrop, and they look different. So that might be a place where you go, okay, maybe I want to brighten that staircase. I want to go with a lighter value there, just so it doesn't look so dark or cavernous. And that's the cool thing about SketchUp. I don't see enough arches in kitchens today, and it's because sometimes it's hard to design around that. This is such a cool kitchen that we've designed here with the SketchUp software. And I love the arch element, and it's just something that I think in traditional designs you don't see a lot of, maybe in an older home. But talk about elevating a space with just a simple architectural detail like this. SketchUp can show you what that impact's going to be, the lighting, the textures, etc. So awesome stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And one thing I like to.
Oh, sorry, Goose. Let me squeeze in one more tip, and then I'll let you
go. Go for it.
I want to show this real quick too, because it's also kind of a hidden thing. So you can see here, if you saw me while Mike was talking, I just slid my web page underneath the SketchUp window. Mm-hmm. And I want to show you, let's say maybe we're talking to a client, they say, hey, go to this web page, go to this Benjamin Moore color. You can go there, I can grab this little eyedropper, and I can just sample right from the web page and just pop it into SketchUp. So really quick way to grab a color, do it. Don't worry about RGB values. Move the conversation along. So go ahead, Goose.
Nice. Yeah. I love that. And then, another thing I love too, and that's what we get to see with all these cool Café products is, that uniformity that we're seeing with the colors and the pulls. Let's take a look at that fridge and how it compares with the range and with the dishwasher, and how we have all these sort of disparate textures and dimensions going on, but you have the unified look of these like high quality appliances that tie the whole kitchen together. Mike. So that's such a beautiful look there.
Yeah, it all comes together. I mean, you've got so much cool technology here. You got cool design. I've got a nugget ice maker that makes 56 pounds of ice in a day. Try to run out of ice with that thing. We've got our wine and beverage center here. It's got the same beautiful copper accents inside as you'll see within our refrigerator. Check those out. And again, we always like to take at least one point in the skit to talk about what a bad cook Steve is. So we actually have the induction cooktop here. And so if you want the flexibility of gas and the responsiveness on the top, but you want the benefits of an electric oven, it's here. You'll also notice it's got our special Heston Q, so we'll keep that temperature locked in for a nice simmer. So the appliances look great in here. The design that you guys put together for this space is absolutely amazing. And so to see it all come together, me as the client, to see all the things that I had in mind to come together and actually be standing here is so cool. And that's what design's all about. Why it's a great partnership. So check out Café, check out SketchUp, and check out our appliances on 3D Warehouse.
Absolutely. Let's see here. Someone had written in here saying, asking if we're using the Pro version, and if the Café appliances are also free on 3D Warehouse. So Josh, what version of SketchUp are you using?
Yeah, at the top here you can see SketchUp Pro 2021.
Yep. And so the latest, greatest.
We kind of breezed over the 3D Warehouse locations of those things just because we wanted to throw them in the model. But if you do a search, you might want to start here at the Café kind of homepage here for the different cleaning, cooling, cooking. But do a search there, and then Goose, if you want to get a quick moment here to tell them about how you might search through. I don't know if they would do the author here or just type in Café up there.
I would just type in Café. So go ahead and put in Café there. You don't even have to put the accent, and to see where it says products. And actually, let's go ahead and put Café appliances, so we're not looking for Café tables too. Excellent. All right, and see how that little check mark there. If you click on that name next to the check mark. The check mark is an indicator that this is an official building product manufacturer appliance, so they have designed or approved them. And then once you're inside, you can go to their catalog like we're looking at here and look at their cleaning, cooling, and cooking products. You can go ahead and click on any one of those if you want. And here it breaks it down into sections. So to answer the question, yes, everything that you see here in 3D Warehouse is there for free to use, and it's in a .skp format, which is one of the most universally importable formats. So even if you're not using SketchUp, you can still use these awesome appliance models.
And one last reminder, don't forget about those component options to swap out the different configurations very easily.
That's right. And another benefit here of dynamic components is that you don't have to download 4 different refrigerators or 4 different ranges. You can just download one and go through, as Josh is doing here, changing out the different textures. And let's see what that dark one looks like, because I think it looked pretty nice. We looked at it the other day.
Yeah, the black ones there.
Yeah, black on black with that little copper ring on there. It's so nice.
Very cool.
Good deal. Awesome, Josh. It's been a great demo, and I think we've learned a lot about applying textures and changing out surfaces and stuff. Anything else you want to say before we pass back to Mike?
I'll just hang out on this. I was trying to show this for a little bit longer. If you're watching now, you can screenshot the page. If you can read this, I don't know. I threw a PDF into SketchUp here. Having a little fun with textures. I like to say, don't use the textures inside of SketchUp because there's just not enough of them. It's really just meant to be a sampler. Go online, take photos. Photos are great. Sometimes the best texture in SketchUp is a photo that you take. So you can screenshot this or find us in the SketchUp booth later. But I'll throw it back to Mike or Goose now.
Awesome. I like the little brown ring of success on the little coffee ring on your PDF. That's nice. Nice touch.
I had to throw that.
You guys went all out with the Café coffee mug. I just caught that. So really good. That's the cool thing about SketchUp, though. We've talked about, incorporating people's dogs into designs before and all the things you can do to personalize it. That's what makes a design feel like a home. And so, we're so excited about this partnership. We have not only our GE Café line with our 4 distinct finishes, our multiple kinds of hardware that we've seen here today. We're also incorporating, GE Monogram, GE Profile, and our GE brand and higher brand into the portfolio. And so as we grow our relationship after the show, what we're going to find is that you guys will continue to add models in, new products, etc. So the catalog is going to grow, the options are going to grow, and your choices as a designer are really unlimited, especially with the things that Josh showed, to just really get in there and customize it and hit a home run with the design. So differentiate yourself, make this design, yours, and, let the personality of the client show through, because that's what Café is about. That's what SketchUp's about. And that's why we're here today, to show this with you. So it's been a great session. Josh, Goose, it's always fun.
Awesome. Thanks again, Mike. Thanks, Josh.